Most tutors think that they need hundreds of students to break past 50K a month. Hell, I even had one guy who commented that in order to make over 100K a month, you need to work something like 1,000 hours every single month. But we have tutoring businesses who work 4 hours a day and they're able to break past 50, 80, even 100K a month. We even got one guy to almost 200K in a single month. And the most impressive part is that they're only enrolling 10 to maybe 15 students a month, but they're charging up front. So if you're wondering how many students do you actually need to scale to 50K or even above 50K a month with your own tutoring business, you're honestly probably overthinking this. You don't need that many hours, you don't need that many students. And you definitely don't need to scale with more chaos and hundreds of tutors working beneath you. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact number of students and hours that you need in each different stage of a tutoring business and how pricing and structure can affect that. This isn't for everyone, but if you are serious about scaling to 50K and beyond with your tutoring business, you can click the link in the description of this video, book a call with my team, and we're gonna go over exactly how we would implement everything that I'm gonna talk about today in this video for you. So 99% of tutors, when they first start out, they charge hourly. And we've even had some people who started at like $10, $15 an hour, and they've managed to somehow get that up to $150 or even $200 an hour in like super rich areas and in a specific niche. But even those guys, even at the extreme end of hourly pricing, at the top of the top, the most we've ever seen anyone do is about 20K a month. And even those that are making 20K a month are working 120-hour work weeks. It is absolutely insane. The reason being is that you're just trading your time for money. What you've effectively built yourself, if you charge hourly, is a glorified 9 to 5 that pays a little bit better. But for most of you, it doesn't even pay better. It in fact pays worse. Like some of you would legit be better just working at McDonald's. But if 99% of people are doing the hourly model, how can it be so bad? Well, it depends what you want. If you want a job, if you want to work 8 hours, 9 hours a day and make basically minimum wage, that's fine. But if you want to scale and build an actual business where you have systems, you have employees, and you are working on the business instead of being a cog in the machine of your own business, then you're gonna need to shift because you only have so many hours. Believe it or not, there's 24 hours in a day and you can't sell all of them because you need to sleep, right? So you're capped. We all know you're capped. And like I said, even at the extreme high end, maximum you're gonna do is 20K a month. So how do you actually break out of that and scale to 50, 100, even above 100K a month as a tutoring business? Well, you're gonna have to refine your offer. You're gonna have to completely change what you're actually promising to people. Because if you think about it, does a parent want hours of tutoring? No. Like when you're buying a taxi, let's say you call a cab or an Uber, do you want the taxi ride or do you want to get to a destination, right? Like nobody dreams of buying a taxi ride, but people do sometimes dream about getting from point A to point B because there's something in point B they want. So if we apply the same logic that nobody really cares about the Uber or the taxi ride and that they don't really want to pay that much for it. You want to pay as little as possible for the taxi ride because you don't care. You just want to get to point B. But if somebody actually promises you, hey, I'm going to get you to point B, this is how we're going to do it, and the outcome is guaranteed, you start shifting their beliefs. It's a completely different game. And if we apply the exact same logic to tutoring, people don't want to buy tutoring inherently. Like nobody wants to buy tutoring. What they want to buy is a good result on the SAT, on GCSEs, on A levels, whatever it is. I know you're probably tweaking right now that, oh, I can't guarantee results because every student's different. I understand, chill out, okay? We're gonna get into that. Everybody's different. Yes, some students are smarter, some students are less smart is what it is. And then some students are just harder working than others, right? I understand you're not gonna be able to guarantee everyone the exact same thing. Relax. Okay? But what we still want to do is we want to promise them a transformation. If you imagine, another example, a fitness coach. If a fitness coach was able, or a personal trainer, right? If a personal trainer was able to promise you, hey, if you follow my blueprint by 1, 2, 3 steps, you're gonna get a 6-pack in 12 weeks, in half a year, in whatever time. And then there was another personal trainer who was like, well, we will go to the gym, I will help you lift weights, you know, I charge 30 an hour. Which one would you rather work with? Obviously, price is a factor, but if you don't know the price, which one would you rather work with? Okay? So hopefully now you understand that you need to promise them some sort of transformation. And it is on you to figure out how to get those results. I understand students are different, but if you actually want to make money, if you want to make 50K or 100K a month, you're gonna have to use your brain. You cannot just be selling your time. Nobody wants to pay for a personal trainer, and nobody wants to pay for a taxi ride, nobody wants to pay for an Uber, but people want to pay to go from point A to point B, whether that's literally A to B with a taxi, whether that's going from fat to six pack with a personal trainer, or whether that's going from failing math to getting a 9 on GCSE, to getting a 50/100 on the SAT, whatever it is, okay? And like I said, this is gonna require you to actually think, to come up with a strategy. Okay, there's different types of students. How do we actually make this possible? How do we promise them a result, okay? But before I go into how you do all of this, I want you to understand how big of a shift this is actually gonna be for your business. If we just do the math. So let's say you're charging $25 an hour, right? And you're working, let's say 25 hours per week. And obviously there's roughly 4 weeks in a month, right? You're gonna make 2.5K. And $25 an hour is what most of you are charging, right? Obviously, like I said, you can increase that, you can make more, but max you're gonna make is 20K a month here. Now, if we shift this and instead of $25 an hour, we charge 2.5K upfront for a transformation, we need to sell one package and we're making 2.5K a month. We need to sell 4 packages to make 10K a month, and we need to sell 8 packages to make 20K a month. Now, how hard can it be to get 8 students in a month? Spoiler alert, it's not that hard. But if you charge like $25 an hour for, you need a lot of students, because as you know, most are only gonna take like 2 hours a week, and it's gonna be extremely difficult. Another thing that happens when you charge for a package, you get people to commit. You tell people, look, I'm gonna get you from a 1200 score to a 1500 score, but I need you to work with me for 12 weeks. We're gonna do 2 sessions a week plus one one-on-one session plus XYZ, and people commit. When they pay up front, they commit. There's no more scheduling headaches. There's no more chasing students for payment because everybody pays upfront. And because they pay, they take it seriously and they commit. And if they don't show up to the lesson, it is not your problem. If you hire a personal trainer and he tells you, look, this is the plan, it's 6 months, you're gonna get a 6-pack, show up to this many lessons. If you don't show up, is that your problem? Is it his problem? It really is your problem, because you paid him upfront and he told you in order to get the result, you're gonna have to show up to the gym, you know? And the beautiful thing is, parents understand that students need to put in the work to get the result. So even if in the worst case scenario they don't show up to lessons, they understand it's their fault. Like, they're human, they're not like completely stupid. They know that they need to put in the work to get the result. Now, earlier on, I gave the example of charging 2.5K up front. And if you think that's a lot, I will put a screenshot somewhere in this video where one of my clients charged 6.4K in US dollars up front for I think about half a year. That's the maximum we've reached. There's plenty of people charging 3K, 4K, and even above that, right? And again, max is 6,400 US dollars up front. So how do you actually charge these massive amounts of money, and how do you actually get to 50K a month? Well, if you want people to give you a lot of money up front, again, you need to promise them a transformation. Now we want to work backwards here, right? Let's say you promised them a 1500 on the SAT. We want to go over like, what do these people need to do to get there? What prerequisites do they need to have? And what actions do they need to take in order to get there? So in the actions tab, obviously you want them to show up to 100% of the lessons, right? If they buy a package of lessons and they don't show up, obviously they're not going to get a 1500. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out, okay? So you list out the conditions for them to get the desired result. And again, people aren't stupid. People aren't going to buy tutoring expecting not to show up, not to put in any work, and then still expecting the result. They understand they need to put in the work, okay? So again, list out all of the conditions, show up to all of the lessons, do all of the homework, complete all of the assignments I give them. Whatever you think you need to get someone from a, let's say a 1300 to a 1500, you list all of that out. And then you have a second type of conditions, which is what type of person do they need to be / what type of previous results do they need to have to even qualify for said guarantee. Obviously, we're not going to get someone from a 900 to a 1500, right? That's not really going to happen unless you have like a year-long program. So you can simply just put in a condition that states you need to have a 1300 to get to a 1500. That's literally all you have to do. I know you're probably losing your mind. Relax. If someone comes in below that, you just tell them, look, based on what you've told me here today, we can help you, we will improve your score, but we cannot get you from a 1100 to a 1500 in 2 months. What we can do is get you from a 1100 to, let's say, a 1200 or a 1300. Now, this is still going to greatly increase their chances of getting to their dream university, to their dream college. It's not going to get them to the best university out there, right? You're probably not going to get into Harvard, but that doesn't matter. People understand. Like, people are not that stupid that they think you're going to take them from complete zero to going to Harvard. They know that. Like, people have some sort of realistic expectations. Now, obviously, once you start scaling this model, you're going to get too many students to handle, is what it is, right? If you do it well, at least. But the beautiful thing that happens here is because you're charging all of this up front, you now have a lot of capital and you can invest said capital. Again, this is business 101. You can invest this capital into hiring other tutors so that you can offload some of the work and you don't have to do everything yourself. You can invest in software. We have a lot of different softwares out there that can handle the back end or the front end, whatever you need help with. And what this does is it finally allows you to work on the business. Again, you have the capital, you hire a couple of tutors, you hire a software that helps you organize everything, and now you're working 4 hours a day on the actual business. Maybe you still do some of the lessons yourself, maybe you're running the ads, you're doing some content, and then after the 4 hours, you can work on the business. You can start thinking about, okay, what can we do to go from 50K to 100K? Where do I need to spend more money? What actions do I need to take to grow this? Do I need to improve my tutoring base? Are they not good enough? Do I need to work on XYZ? You can finally start thinking, because when you're working 10 hours a day in the actual business, you don't have any time to think and improve anything. And that's how you get stuck. Because I get a lot of people who come on these calls and are like, they have a big ego. They're like, oh, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been doing this for 10 years, but they're making like 5 to 10K a month. Like, what are you doing for 10 years making 10K a month? I can tell you exactly why that is. It's because you're working in the business. You're working 10, 12 hours a day, doing lessons, chasing up parents for payment, and you have no time to actually work on the business and grow it. Now, obviously, there's a lot more than goes into this, right? You're not just going to change your pricing from $30 an hour to $2,000 to $3,000 up front and then parents are just going to pay, right? Like I said, one of the main things is you need to promise them an outcome. Not only do you need to promise them an outcome, you need to explain yourself. Like, most tutors charge hourly and you're telling me you're going to get me to a 1500 guaranteed. Well, how does this work? You need a clear step-by-step process on why you're different to everyone else, why they should trust you, how you get results. And as long as it makes sense for the parents, they want to pay. But even then, like, most of you probably have a very poor setup. Most of you probably have no idea how to actually talk to these parents and how to effectively communicate to these parents. You need to address what they're feeling. And again, there's a lot more that goes into this. You obviously need content. You need to position yourself as the actual premium solution. Like, if you want people to pay you premium prices, you need to look premium. You need to have a good setup. You need to have a bunch of content. You need to nurture these people, show them how you get results. And now, knowing all of this, you have two options. Option one, you try and figure this all out on your own. You try and raise prices without the proper messaging, without actually conveying your value, and without showing people that you are the premium option that they need to pay premium prices for. Or option two, you can book a call with my team, again, only if you're serious about growing this, and we'll go over exactly how we get people to pay us 2 to 6K upfront for your tutoring packages and how we scale tutors past 50K a month.